All right, how to write an essay part 1. So I know in the study guide I said that there was a worksheet for lessons 8, 9, and 10, but at the last minute I was like, nah. So don't worry, you're not missing out on anything. There are no worksheets. Also, I thought the slideshow would take me 3 days to do, but it only took me 2 days to do. So we're just going to do lessons 8 and 9 and just ignore 10. Just pretend like it never existed. All right, so again, here are the 3 prompts. You're going to choose one of those prompts. Prompt number 1 was, what was the status of life in Europe in terms of faith, technology, and trade before the plague arrived? How did the arrival of the plague affect the way of life of Europeans? Prompt number 2, why do you think so many Europeans blamed others for the plague? What does this say about their understanding of the disease? And prompt number 3, what were the long-term ramifications of the plague? How did it transform European society and medical knowledge? All right, so I know you're probably like, okay, Miss Corey, seriously, we have been through this in our English classes so many times. Do we really need another one of these lectures of how to write an essay? I know, but we're going to go through it again. Sorry about that. So again, at the top of your page, you're going to need your name. You're going to need the teacher's name, which is Miss Corey. Below that, you're going to need the class, which is world history, and then the date that it is due, which would be the 19th of Feb, period, 2023. Also, make sure your title is not italicized or bolded or underline it. It's just normal. Just make sure it is in the top middle of the page. Also, make sure that you have your last name and a page number at the upper right-hand corner, which I am going to show you how to do right now. So here, let me delete that real quick, and I'll delete this too real quick. Come here. Remove header. Perfect. All right, so the title is right here. Again, it is not bolded. It is not underlined. To get in the middle of the page, you just click this right here where it says center align. Make sure you do capitalize important words, such as the first word, how, and then any other more significant words like was, to, and the. You do not have to capitalize. And then you're going to put your name. So let's pretend my name was Taylor Swift. Okay, and my teacher is Miss Corey. And then below that is the class, which is world history. And then below that is the date it is due, which is 19th of Feb, period, 2023. Okay, and then how to get that page number in your last name in the upper right-hand corner. You're going to go to Insert. You're going to go to Page Number. Click this one right up here. It will kind of, it's a little, I know this is kind of like weird, but it'll kick your cursor to the right side of the number 1. Just click the arrow key over to the left and type in your last name. So my last name is Swift. Okay. And then to make it font size 12 times New Roman, just change it, just highlight it and change it like that. All right. Sweet. Look it, you got it. Good job. All right. Going back to here. All right, so I know you're like, Ms. Carter, we have gone through this, the basic structure. Yes, there's 5 paragraphs. There's the intro, body 1, body 2, body 3, and the 5th being the conclusion. We're first going to look at the intro. So in the intro paragraph, there are 4 main things I'm looking for. Number 1 would be the hook sentence. Number 2 would be the sentences of background information. Number 3 is the thesis statement, which is the most important thing. And 4 is, why is this important? So for the hook, you'll see throughout the slideshows that I did an example paper. So I did this lesson last year, actually just a bit over a year ago, with a bunch of 7th graders of how to write a paper. And during that time period, we were talking about the U.S. Civil War. So that's why my example paper is about the U.S. Civil War. But yours is not. Yours is about the Black Plague. But it just, yeah. So for my hook that I did about my paper about Clara Barton, I said calling Clara Barton an angel of the battlefield is no understatement. Okay, so that's my hook, and I'm going to give you some more examples of hooks you can use. So what a hook is the first sentence in your paper. Okay, it is supposed to grab the reader's attention. There are many type of hooks examples. and I'm going to go through some with you. Okay, so the first one would be like a bold statement, which was kind of what I did with the Clara Barton one that I just showed you. But another bold statement would be like, Jerusalem is the most important yet controversial city in the world. Okay, this is like kind of grabs the reader's attention. They're like, oh, Jerusalem? Yeah, why is it important? Why is it controversial? Why is it both? Okay. Another example would be a factual statement. So that's like taking a statistic and putting that as your first sentence. Now this one's a little bit trickier. I'm not 100% sure if this will work in your paper about the plague, but it might. So for example, one would be like the global rate for washing hands after using the toilet is under 20%. Okay, so that's like, oh my gosh, that's like a crazy factual statement. I want to read more. Yeah, all right. And then another one is the metaphor. So the metaphor, the simile hook, engages your readers because it makes them think about a topic in a different way. Your audience wonders what you mean and how you compare a topic to something that seems unconnected. So for example, dirty, cramped, dark villages are magnets for rats and mice to find their next homes and victims. Of course, right? Villages aren't magnets. Like they're literally not magnets. But just that metaphor for magnets of like attraction really is kind of like, I don't know, makes it interesting because it's a metaphor. Also, a description is also a good hook example that kind of paints a picture of the time period or events that you're talking about in your paper. So something really like literary, really descriptive. For example, if I was writing a paper about like noble women in the Middle Ages, I might say, the chill in the air gently presses against the window of the manor, trying to reach its way through the faint candlelight. Or towards the faint candlelight of the noble woman buried deep within the context of a book that she has recently collected in her library. Okay, so it's like, you know, super like detailed and stuff. All right. So after the hook, you need at least 1 or 2 sentences, if not more, giving background to the topic, like the time, the period, the place, what was life like. Okay. Yeah, like 1 to 2 sentences. No, you could do more than 1 to 2 sentences. You could probably do 2 to 4 sentences, to be completely honest with you. This is just kind of the point where you're just giving me some background info. So yours is about the Black Plague. You know, tell me like the who, what, when, where, why kind of thing. Like I've never heard of the Black Plague before. Give me those real basic information. So for example, here with my Clara Barton one, I said she was a school teacher with no medical training, yet her name has become extremely famous for her medical help and passion towards people who have experienced tragedy. Since the first Battle of Bull Run in the American Civil War, she had been one of the most important people in not only treating wounded soldiers on the battlefield, but also helping families locate dead or missing soldiers, okay? It gives me background information about her. All right, so the next up is the thesis. Now, this is the most important part of your paper. And I'm going to kind of break down the thesis. Okay, so it is the heart and soul of your paper. If you do not have a thesis statement, you do not have an essay. It tells the readers exactly what your paper is about. So thesis statements in my mind are kind of like math formulas. I don't know why, because I'm not a mathy kind of person, but that's okay. I'm going to show you my very own thesis statement of magical mathematical formulas. So I know this is confusing. You're like, Miss Corey, what the heck am I looking at? Okay, I'm going to walk you through it. Okay, you ready? So, according to A, comma, B is important to European history because C, period. This is important because of D. Okay, let's walk this through. So, according to A is your source. Now, most of you, if you don't use any of the other articles I gave you, you're just going to type in the plague. Make sure it is italicized, okay? A is just the source that you're using for your paper. That's it. B is the topic of your paper, okay? That's going to be the Black Plague. You can also call it the bubonic plague or the Black Death. They all mean the same thing. I don't care which one ever you use. C is going to be your prompt. So remember prompts 1, 2, and 3, whichever one you choose, you are going to put into C, but there is a catch. You need to reword it so it's not in a question form. Okay? So reword your prompt, and then put it into C. With the prompt 2 for part C, you can also shorten it if you like. Yeah. All right. And then for D is explaining how your topic is important to European history. So this is important because blah. So why is learning about your prompt, whatever you choose, important to European history? Okay, you're just going to tell me that in D. Okay, I know it looks confusing, but it's really simple once you get to know it. All right, so for example, according to The Plague, the Black Plague is important to European history because, and then I would put in my reworded prompt, period. This is important because, and then I would put in the reason why I think the Black Plague is significant to European history. Sorry, I put the word in there twice. Okay, so here's kind of my example one that I did when I did Clara Barton's. It's a little bit of a different structure just because it's a different paper topic, but you can kind of see the parts in it. So according to A, which would be Monica Lecha in Clara Barton's Missing Soldiers Office, okay? Clara Barton is important to the American Civil War because, and then I'm going to do C, she cared for the wounded soldiers and found out information about what happened to missing soldiers. And then this is part D down here. This is important because she saved countless Union soldiers' lives so they could win the war and help families get answers of what happened to their loved ones. Okay, in your paper, I want you to underline your thesis statement. Okay, it makes it easier on both of us. All right, we're going to stop right there for today. Next up, you're going to watch U8-L8 of How to Write an Essay Part 2. Okay, let me know if you have any questions. Seriously, let me know. All right, bye.